we're talking about now, you go to bank, the security men will be all over you. They would become so personal. And then by the time they do things that you consider extraordinary, you feel guilty if you don't part with something. So it has become so rampant that we need to know that there's something fundamentally wrong with the system we're operating. And we need to sit down, what do we do now to correct this? And for those people who report, what do we do for them? You know, in order to ensure that people will come out to report when somebody demands bribe before he can do anything in the public service. So these are the structures I think government should be looking at, and not the issue of going after people who have stolen money and stopping at there. We must go extra in order to lay for a solid structure. That is my take.
Yes, I think we have been able to connect with Abuja again. Mr. Moshood, I was saying that the police was quick to deny what this report said, whereas we all know what the truth is. And you say that the police has keyed into the change begins with me mantra, you know.
Thank you so much. I want to start by saying, if you can hear me, I can hear you over there, that the Nigerian Police Force, the Inspector General of Police under the IGP, under the leadership of the IGP Pt.3 MNI, this report covered the period of 2015 to June 2016. The present administration came on board in July 2017, in late June rather, 2017, and a lot of things have been implemented to ensure that corruption are fought within and outside the force. And a lot of initiatives like our escort, who are principally responsible for arresting police officers that are accused of corruption or corruption tendency or bribery, are apprehended and prosecuted and ensure that they are reprimanded. Some have been equally sent out the force, are working. We are not saying we are denied outrightly. We have the responsibility to accept the report or reject it, and the Nigerian Police Force have rejected the report based on the fact that it doesn't actually represent the present state of situation in the force as at now. We equally want to make it abundantly clear that we supposed to be part of this assessment from the day one, but we are not part of. We are very transparent now, and the report has not touched on the area of the level of transparency the force has gotten into now. So we are not part of the report when the samples and the parameters and the yardstick that was structured out for the report were being implemented on the street. And essentially, the report that has to concern Nigerian police, because we know it's not only the Nigerian police, for the judiciary and other government agencies who are equally involved. As it has to concern the Nigerian police, ESA and other evidences that have to do on oral matter are not actually empirical, and that's the standpoint that we're supposed to be part of the assessment itself, and we're supposed to make an input in the process, so that at the end of the day, we're going to have a very transparent report for everybody to work on. Outside this, the Inspector General of Police have set up a committee, which was made mandatory to link up with the NUDs, to connect them to this committee, to sit down with the UNODC and the National Bureau of Statistics to look at this report itself and look at the way forward. But essentially, I want people to know that corruption is a personal thing, it's not an institutional thing. You can be anybody and be corrupt. You can be pastor or imam and be corrupt. You can even walk in the park or in the market and be corrupt. So as an institution, Nigerian police is not corrupt. We are working in to ensure that there are a lot of changes that have been achieved within the system are sustained. And the United Organization, this is not the first time that we have issue with UNODC. We have been working within the UNODC's United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, and there are a lot of training programs that have been going on between the UNODC and Nigerian police force as regards the issue of crime, and equally in respect to drug, because when people use drug, they go out and commit crime. But essentially what we are saying is a lot of changes have been agenda have been put in place and results have been received. Outside the escort that I mentioned earlier on, we have equally, the Inspector General of Police have equally reinvigorated the department that was previously CRU, which is Complaint Response Unit 2, Public Complaint Rapid Response Unit, and this make a lot of accessibility to members of the public to report corrupt issues and other tendency that tempted police officers to corruption. And we don't work in isolation. Nigerian police work, we police the country based on the culture of the people. The culture of the people determine how you police them. While we are looking at officers that are trying to be induced to go into corruption, equally of notice that our prevailing laws and enabling acts and other laws stipulate that the giver and taker of bribes are equally guilty as the person that is taking it. So we are working on all this to ensure that we satisfy the system, and we are making significant progress in this regard. So we are of the opinion that the report is supposed to reflect the present and current situation